Welcome back to Satisfactory, and I've just upgraded our belt from our lowly little single smelter up there to level 3, our tier 3, and that's going up into our factory where the wire is now being brought out back here quite quickly. And just did that as a precursor before we have to scale up any of the copper at all, for example, multi-smelters, minor Mark IIs, etc, etc. And we have plenty in a box over there, so we'll see. We can also see that that isn't moving very fast, so it's more than likely that side of things we need to scale up first. However, today we're going to get started and heading on into computers. And for that, we already have a couple of ingredients if you watched the end of last episode. One of those is plastic, and the other one is, of course, copper wires. But together they make circuit boards. The circuit boards, along with plastic, are two of the ingredients for computers. So we need to get started and build ourselves the next sort of factory up, which is the manufacturer. And that's going to need me to make computers to get started. Fine, we can make those manually. I also put a jump pad down here just so I can get up here easily without having to go through the underbrush every time I want to go there. So yeah, let's take a look. So I'm going to need some cable, a few computers, and a modular, heavy modular frame or two. So let's just get some cable, and my inventory is pretty much full, so I'm just going to dump some stuff out. That will do for now. Let's get rid of the beacon, and anything else that comes to mind? Crude oil maybe? And coal. Yeah, that'll give me some space. Okay, so cable it is, and then we're going to want those heavy modular frames. They require screws and industrial beams, and industrial beams I have different recipes for. One of which is concrete, the other is pipes, etc. Those are the ingredients. So we should have enough to grab those. Let's grab a couple of stacks. There's a few of those beams. And I think we're going to need something like, let's have a look, beams. Yeah, so we can make 21. And we need 5 for each of these, so I need 10 basically. That shouldn't take very long at all. So that's 3, 6, in fact no, we get 3 for each of these, so that won't take long at all. There we go, heavy modular frames. And then we just need screws, and the screws just come from rods, and we've got plenty of rods in our inventory, so plenty of screws it is as well. And we should be able to see when we can make 2 of these. Should be coming up now, there we go, heavy modular frame. Okay, and what is the rest needed? Computers. Okay, what recipes have we got for computers? We have circuit boards, which we've got. Everything else, we just need more screws. Okay. The factory just needs huge amounts of screws, it seems. At least until we get maybe still some of the other recipes. And hopefully a third computer at some point soon. Is it cable we're short of? I think it actually is cable. Yeah, let's just grab some more there. And make some more of that. Yeah, there we go. So, 3 computers. 1, 2, and 3. Now, we may still be a little bit short of cable because I just made some. Yep, let's just finish that off. And 30 or so? Yeah, we've got everything we need. Okay, let's go and head back upstairs, and then we're going to place this down. Now, placement, it's going to be quite a large building, I imagine. So we've got to consider where this actually goes. I'm going to put it like here, with that being the first sort of input, I think. And it's massive. It is absolutely huge. And also, I need to line it up with that. Okay, and it's very hard to actually do. There seems appropriate. Move it across one. Yeah, we need like an overhead view for placement. That'll make it much easier. Let's see how that actually comes up. And that's a huge building, but it is lined up. And there go the circuit boards. We can choose what we want in here. So computers take circuit boards, cable, plastic, and screws. Supercomputers take computers as a recipe. Oh, okay, so we're going to need at least one of these other buildings, one of these buildings for even more stuff. And again, plastics and a couple of other things that we can't make yet, which is one of which is this high-speed connector, which in itself takes 3 inputs. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of plastic from what I can see here. And then, of course, we've got the various heavy modular frames stuff, but let's get started with computers. So that takes 5 circuit boards, and how many does this produce? This produces 5 a minute. This can actually take 9. So yes, we could scale up to basically 2 of those, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Cable, plastic, and screws. So let's start out with the plastic. So that can go into the second entry here. And I think we can do that via simple splitter. Well, maybe a simple splitter. I may want multiple at the end of the day, but let's get started with a simple splitter. And I want to line this up just with the grid, so I've just removed the belt. You don't need to remove the belt, you can just put the splitters down wherever, but this just helps line everything up. There we go, and that'll do. Let's go to single span. And then let's just extend this out. I'm going to have to go around this machine. You can try and drag right alongside of it, but it tends not to work too well. So instead, all I'm going to do here is just place a conveyor pole manually. And then that should be sort of okay. I can always align it later. Yeah, you see it won't go directly into there. So let's just... Can we go sideways? And then go this way? Oh, can't afford. Let's just replace that with Mark 1. That could be done better. I can line that up later. But for now, that is the second ingredient. And that's going to work pretty much automatically. Third ingredient is going to be cable. And the fourth is going to be screws. Cable's going to be able to come from copper. And we've got copper over there. So I think what we should do is maybe look at pulling off an extra sort of, well, unless we can just, cable comes from wire, and we could just pull more wire off that line. Yeah, why don't we do that? Okay, so we're going to have to place the constructor down somewhere. And we have wire going in there, so we could put something down over there and bring it overhead, and that will work reasonably well, I think. So why don't we just look at doing that? So production, constructor. I'm going to need some reinforced iron, aren't I? Yep. Let me get some of that and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so reinforced iron it is. Let's just grab the constructor, and we want to have it feed out that way. And if we put this alongside our original machine, the assembler, that'll leave us able to feed in the last thing into here, which is the screws. So this can just go here for now, and I'll neaten things up once I've got some more than level 1 belt. And then in the input for this is just going to come over the top, I think, from some kind of splitter. Unless we can get a splitter going. Oh, don't stand on the level. Don't stand on the level 3 belt. Yeah, it's a fast transport method, but yeah, otherwise I just drag you sideways. Yeah, I think we shall just bring that over the top. Unless we can divert that plastic somehow to let this go underneath and then split underneath. Don't think so. I think we're too close to that. So yeah, or we can split and go all the way around, but I don't fancy doing that either, so it's going to have to be a splitter. Where are you? Logistics splitter. And we sort of wanted around about here, I think. There we go. Now that should... Oh, it's off by 1. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah, that should be okay. And then we can just bring it up using a conveyor pole. Yeah, it's not on the same grid. I'm going to have to move it later. For now, it's fine. but we're going to go up and let's see whether this will actually take. Is it too steep? It's slightly too steep. I need to just move one further away. There we go. And we can just get a pull on this side and do the same thing. 5. About there, maybe? Yep. In it comes. And then again, I'm going to be lazy with just setting things out. At least until we get all of this set up. Just so you don't have to wait on screen for me to fiddle around too much. So we've got wire coming in this way. Once I get some more steel beams, I'll just upgrade everything to tier 3. And then that will come out of there, and we want cable. So that is simple enough. And then we just want to hook these up to power. So we want power poles. Where's our power poles? One there. I actually want probably to feed multiple things off here. So I'm going to grab a power pole and move it down here. And we'll connect it to our main line. Okay, and that can connect to the... Oh, I'm missing actual cable. Funny thing, I need cable to make cable. Let's just make a couple here. Cable. There we go. Okay. And then we'll connect up to both of these machines. So one to there and one to there. Hopefully this doesn't cause an overload. No, we're still fine. Okay. And this is now taking in some of our ingredients. We're getting cable out, but not terribly fast. Is that the input? No, it just appears to do 15 a minute. And what can this take? This can take 22.5, but remember, we're only producing this one at half speed. So having this at, 11 will still be fine. So the same thing with our plastic. And we just need then screws. And screws, well, you've seen me make those before. So let me lay those out off camera. Okay, so I've run a line out of our existing factory sort of iron ingots. They're coming from our factory all the way over there. I just need to get some more steel beams. Let's just grab whatever's being generated over here, 56, that'll have to do. I do need to upgrade all of the actual conveyor belts in the factory to use the tier 3. But you'll see I've got a tier 3 line coming out here. It's not going to be terribly fast supply, although it's backed up right now. Mainly because the rest of it in there is still tier 1. So, obviously there needs to be some changes. Where's my jump pad? There we go. So we'll just go up here. And you'll see I've brought this whole way around. And into the start of a constructor, which is making iron rods, 15 a minute, outputting 9 screws. In fact, no, hang on. This is the wrong recipe. It needs to be iron rod recipe. There we go. It'll make 15 a minute from whatever we're putting in. 15 a minute, essentially. And then this one will take 15 a minute once we get some power and turn it into 90 per minute screws. And let's just connect you. Okay. And then we should be able to feed this in again with some tidying later. Yeah. And we're feeding this in 90 a minute. Assuming we've got enough iron to supply it with. And you'll see we only need 112 per minute, but because this is running at half speed essentially, we can probably just tune this down to bring it down to, let's say, 55%. And let's see what that takes our circuit boards to. We're actually going to just tie this to circuit board speed. So we'll wait till that to update. And let's just remind ourselves what the circuit board output is. I think it was 5, wasn't it? Yes, it's exactly 5. So let's just see what everything else needs if this is running at 5 per minute. That's not actually updated yet. You are producing. Ah, there it is. 5.15. Close enough. We may be able to just tweak that down to 54%. And we'll just see what that updates to. But from there you can see we only need 60 screws per minute. And we're producing, what, 90. So that's more than enough for this speed of machine anyway. We're consuming 18.5 plastic and 12.3 cable. Cable should be no problem whatsoever. Let's check cable. Yeah, that's more than enough. That's going to back up. Plastic is my main concern here then, in that that's 18 per minute for that as input. But also, we're going to need to consume whatever this takes. So 18 So 48 per minute of plastic. Are we consuming more? Well, are we creating more than that? Assuming everything's running at full speed. Yes, we are. Assuming, again, full speed, but of course, remember, we've still got our problem in that needs huge amounts of steel beams to upgrade that entire conveyor belt. And that's, I guess, why you might want to go for trucks. I just prefer to actually wait for more steel, and I'll just upgrade that crude oil line whenever I can, really. So, from that, we should start making computers. 1 a minute. 1 a minute. Okay. That's going to be quite slow. Of course, we can craft from any backlog from where we've got more of this, and we've got some already. And screws we can already get from the factory. So we can manually craft computers should we need to. And remember, I've not set the milestone, have I? Let's go and set the milestone, because I think it's 50 computers we need. So that would mean 50 minutes for automatic production. But you can normally speed things up quite nicely just by handcrafting from the ingredients. So yes, expanding power infrastructure, that will get us conveyor belt Mark IV and the fuel generator. That needs 50 computers and 50 heavy modular frames. Also the jetpack and more inventory slots. So you got to choose those. I think I'm actually going to go. I did say I was going to go for the jetpack. I'm actually going to go for the fuel generator instead. Let's select that. We should have enough for the middle thing already, because I have the automatic motor line down here, which is filling this box. Yep, there we go. So we can just grab 2 stacks there, and that's the motor done. And then we just want heavy modular frames and everything. So the heavy modular frames, I have 2 recipes to choose from. Why don't we just take a look at the recipes and see which ones we want. So not the modular frames, the heavy modular frames. We can use modular frames, steel pipes, encased beams and screws. And of course, because there's 4 ingredients, that means we need to use it in a constructor and the manufactory or whatever it's called. And then the alternate recipe is heavy modular frame. Modular frames, but more of them, and no screws though. I'm a fan of it not needing screws. Okay, and we also have an alternate recipe for encased industrial beams, which is one of this thing. So we already are making the first ingredients, we're already making the last, and we're making this third one. So the only thing we don't currently make in the factory is the encased industrial beams. So the original recipe for that is steel beams, which I'm using for belt everywhere, and concrete, which we're already using or creating. And the alternate recipe is steel pipes and a bit more concrete. But I think all the alternate ones are actually cheaper. I'll have to work it out for that, but I'm going to assume that the steel pipe is in fact cheaper. So this should be relatively straightforward. It's going to be in an assembler. It only has 2 ingredients to make encased industrial beams, and we're already making the steel pipes. So why don't we just take a look around here? I've got the milestone up. Let me just make sure I feed these in. One. There we go. That's one of them done. So in here, we're making the steel pipes already. They're going to be making for the statters, I think. Yep, that's the statters. So we could take a splitter from here-ish and send it somewhere else. And we got lots of space on this bottom floor to be able to do that. In fact, we've probably even got more motors than we actually need down here. So we could shut off motors at some point. However, in the meantime, are we going to run out of steel? Steel's coming through, but it could do with being graded. Is that 1 or tier 1 all the way back? It probably is. Yeah, I think we're going to need to upgrade the steel at some point soon as well. But we also going to need upgrading concrete, so that's fine for now. Can I build an assembler? I cannot, but I'm only missing cable, which is something we can manually craft. Let's just craft some of that. Cable. Okay, you'll do. And now I should be able to build it. Whoops. I put a to-do list. I don't want a to-do list. We can come back to that. But yes, the concrete's going to come from one of these. So let's just line this up. What are you encroaching on? What am I encroaching on there? Just a belt, maybe? Does appear to be the belt. That'll do. That should be lined up. So we can bring in concrete from outside. It's in a canister over there. And we can bring it in on elevated belt and into this left thing. So if we just go for this recipe, then we just need steel pipes, 36 per minute. How many is this capable of producing? 15 a minute. Yeah, we're going to need a lot more steel pipes, but we're not have to run it at full speed, so that's something. If I just slow this down 50%, that should adjust. That will only produce 6 per minute or 3 per minute if once we get this done. But is that 3 per minute or 3 lots of 3 per minute? Is that the output? We'll have to figure that out. However, steel pipes should be straightforward to actually make then. Let's just grab ourselves a splitter. And where are you? Organize logistics. I'll lose the thing. And that is the input and output. Okay. And then we're just going to route this around the factory a little bit. So I'm just going to adjust this somewhat. I want to have a... I don't need anything coming from that just yet, but I want to leave a little bit of space in case I do. So let's just have this going through a 90-degree bend. And then we're going to do the same thing, but coming up this central way as well. And let's see how that does. You're going to work. Again, I would love for an actual 90-degree mode on placing these things. It's good there. And we just need to have this placed correctly. I think that's right. Looks right to me. Okay, there are the pipes. We're going to need some more power, but power should be easy enough to handle. I haven't got any power over here, so I'm going to have to extend some of these poles out. Let's just get one of you. Oh, I need to make sure I leave space for the input line from concrete. And that's going to come from out there, so we're going to just bring it in on an elevated line. And is that encroaching the clearance of that pole? It is. Let's move that a little bit closer. Okay. And grab some more steel beams from here. Take those. Okay, and there we go. At this point we can just line up the conveyor belts for outside. Grab a belt, send it over there. And then we're going to want to get the concrete out somehow. Now it is actually currently being sent into this box and not sent out anywhere, so we could just split off the line itself, possibly. Although we have to send it over that way. This is going to get a bit spaghetti until I later, no doubt, reorganize, and that will do fine. So if we just say, go to here, and let's just go elevated from that point forward. In fact, yeah, let's go elevated from here forward. Yep, that looks fine to me. And then we'll just put one over here. And hopefully it will be far enough, well, close enough to actually get that working. So here. Will you have clearance? Nope. Okay, so we're just going to put it one further up. Will you now have clearance? Let me just grab you and you. Yep. There we go. That's concrete, or it should be bringing concrete in. There it goes. Lots of concrete, in fact. And everything's set. So that should be making industrial steel beams now. We should see that arrive shortly. There it goes. And that consumes 18 steel pipe per minute. And then on the back side of this, we can decide what to do. For now, we can just put a box down, organization, storage, and rotate you around. That's close. We may have to move that at some point. But you should be making. You're making industrial beams. Good. So we can just leave that on in the background. And then the industrial beams we can use for making heavy modular frames. So the heavy modular frames, let's go back and check our recipe. And let's see if there's anything else. I think we've got everything else in the factory, I think I said, didn't I? So alternate heavy modular frames. Modular frames we've got. Encased steel beams we've got. Pipes we're probably going to be short of now, so we should probably make another factory to make that from the main input from steel. And then concrete, again, we're going to be short on that. But we have a concrete spot right here. Well, I can't say concrete spot, a limestone spot. Of course, I would put these above it. Yep. So I'm going to reroute those anyway, but we have a limestone spot here. So if we bring that in alongside the steel, and maybe add some more steel over there, you know, from our coal generator, coal power plant, we'll be getting ready to switch across to fuel over there once we have 50 of this stuff. So we could make it manually for the moment and see what we get to. And with about half made with manual methods, the other half from our factory, then we should be able to just place in the last computers, last 8, there we go. So that's 50 there, and then we just need the heavy modular frames, of which we've got 3, but we're going to need a lot more of those. I don't have any automatic method of creating those yet, but do be aware that the alternate recipe, this is the main recipe, just to look at the expense of it. Heavy modular frame, this thing produces 1, the alternate one produces 3. I forgot were these, and so does the alternate for encased industrial beams. So yes, please do use the alternate recipes when you can. So we get 3 from each one of these, so 3 from each 10 industrial beams, and we got, you know, 3 batches there, so we'll get another 9 out of that. And then that means, of course, we can just do this and grab another couple of batches. There we go, 1 batch and 2. Good. So we will need a fair bit more, but it's stuff that we're already making in our factory for the most part. In fact, is it all stuff we're making in our factory? Yes, we're making all of this now. The steel pipe I did up in speed. So if we look at this, we're actually producing, or we're going to be producing excess pipe here. It's up to 37.5 a minute. This assembler uses relatively little, only uses 18 a minute, and that's when its output isn't blocked. Its output is blocked by the next machine down, so it's using almost nothing there at the moment. And on this side of things, we're only using half of that. Now we could now speed this up to get even more beams, but we're sort of constrained anyway by the steel pipe supply, because we still need steel pipes anyway to make the heavy modular frames. So even if I do bring this back up to full speed, we can certainly afford it. But I think I want the steel pipes anyway. And what I think I'm just going to do... Wow, we don't really have much steel supply coming through. We're using it quite quickly now. So I'm going to have to bulk up next episode. We'll go over to our steel supply and see if we can get a lot of steel coming through, as much as we can, without diverting stuff across to our, of course, down to our iron factory. And then we'll get it, hopefully, filling a level 3 belt like this. And... well, we're not even filling a level 1 belt at the moment, but level 3 belt will be quite good. We'll see. That's 270 a minute though. That might be a bit of a big ask, I think, given the amount of iron that's available over there. So, for now, I guess we're pretty much done. I just need to wait for these components to go through, pick up some more stuff from here whenever they come through. Again, that's 3 more batches, and we should be good. So, I think we'll leave it for this episode. The start of the next episode, we should have this expanded power infrastructure, which means that I'll be able to place both the, let's have a look, both the fuel generator, and we'll also see what the ingredient cost of conveyor belt Mark IVs is. I'm going to assume that it's expensive, which probably means it's going to be, what would it be? I hope it's not heavy modular frames. They're far, far too slow to be able to use Mark IV everywhere, but it could be. We'll have to have a look at the recipe there. If you do know, you can put it down in the comments below and spoil that, I guess. But most importantly of here is this fuel generator itself, because this, if I remember rightly, actually produces a lot more power than our coal. And if we get rid of our coal and switch to fuel eventually, from oil, of course, we'll be able to use that coal for ever more steel, really. and that's going to be good. So yeah, all good with me. If you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe, share, as you normally would. Click on the bell if you want notifications. Most importantly of all, leave comments for other people who are doing a playthrough. And we'll see you next episode for some more, I think, some more scaling next episode. Yeah, as I said, for the steel. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.